What is going on, everyone? It was day 9 of training camp for the Houston Texans last night. They had a late practice at 6 p.m. It was a scrimmage, and what we learned was that the guy who you took in the second overall pick in this year's draft, CJ Stroud, is your quarterback one. After back-to-back good practices from the rookie, I think the Houston Texans might be announcing a quarterback number one sooner rather than later. Now, I will be at every single remaining open training camp practice that the Houston Texans have available to the public. So some of the photos and videos you were going to see were taken by me. And make sure you guys are following me on my Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. And guys, we hit 7K a couple of days ago. Thank y'all so much. It's onwards to 8K. And the day started for me around 2 o'clock. That's when the line was barely starting. Gates opened at 4:30, guys. And when I have to say this was the longest line I've ever seen at a Houston Texans training camp, I don't think I'll ever see a line like that again. And I've said this pretty much every single practice that I went through. But the line started at the very front where you go through the metal detectors, and it wrapped around the parking lot. You're going to see the photos and the videos of how long this line was, and it was absolutely insane. This city is ready for a winning football team again. They are waiting to see head coach DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud bring championships here to Houston. So without further ado, man, let's just continue with how last night's practice went. So some of the quotes we are going to be pulling today are from Seth Payne, DJ Bieniemy, and as always, my guy Cody Stutes. This is from Seth Payne. Notes from Texans practice. Looking more and more like it's Stroud's job to lose. Offense finally started getting their cleats in the ground. Receivers coming open and QBs finding them in rhythm. Tank Dell was hot. Pass protection was not, but I'm waiting for live football to get a feel for that. CJ Stroud has now had 3 practices in a row where he looks like the quarterback number one. And yesterday, in my opinion, was his best practice. The wide receiving core, they definitely got busy. Xavier Hutchinson, Tank Dell, and John Mechie were making plays all throughout practice last night. And Tank Dell, if you're asking me, the past couple of days, he has been the best wide receiver for the Houston Texans, not just when he catches balls, but when he's catching punts and making people miss. Tank Dell was going to be real special here in Houston. Pass protection was not. Titus Howard left practice early. We are not sure why. And you saw the drop-off when Titus Howard was not on the field. He was the only starting O-lineman that left practice early. This is from DJ Bieniemy. CJ Stroud probably had the best practice I've seen from a Texans quarterback in 2 training camps of covering them. That's this year and last year. Last year, we know who was here, Mills Millie. He was surgical. The only knock was not being able to get his offense into the end zone during 2 minutes, but overall, he was 13 of 19, was on schedule on almost all of his throws. They were doing red zone drills at the very start of practice, and CJ Stroud had like 3 touchdowns in 4 throws. 1 to Dalton Schultz, 1 to Mason Schreck, and I think 1 to Tank Dell. CJ Stroud was on it last night, ladies and gentlemen, and when you see him in person, this dude is huge. He looks a little small on TV, but you could tell that was an NFL quarterback. Now we get to the Cody Stutes 11 observations. And shout out to my guy Cody Stutes, who does a fantastic job covering this Houston Texans. CJ Stroud took all the reps with the first team. He had another great day passing the ball. Stroud was accurate with almost every pass. He made excellent decisions promptly. The offense operating well, mixing Stroud's accuracy with a couple of runs. Stroud didn't try to do much either. DeMeco Ryans said he continues to see improvement in Stroud. Stack good days on top of good days. CJ Stroud, this is your quarterback one, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not like Davis Mills has had a bad practice or bad training camp. He's looked solid the past couple of days. And if you ask DJ Bieniemy and Cody Stutes at the beginning of training camp, at some practices, he did look better than CJ Stroud. But we knew what was going to happen. We knew that the second overall pick in this year's draft was going to separate himself from Davis Mills, and we just saw it in the past 3 days. Because it is different when Davis Mills is out there compared to CJ Stroud out there. Stroud just throws the ball better. His command is better. His movement in the pocket is better, and that's not a dig at Davis Mills. But CJ Stroud ran away with his quarterback competition. There is a reason why for the past 3 practices, he has been getting 100% of the first team reps. Now we get to hear about Tank Dell and how his practice went last night. Tank Dell stood out in a big way on Saturday. Dell was the go-to guy for Davis Mills on a drive where he hauled in 2 big catches. The first one, Dell started outside but then cut inside for a 20-yard reception. The next one, a few plays later, Dell had to contort his body to get into position for the catch, but gained almost 20 yards in that play. After practice, slot cornerback Tavir Thomas gushed about the talent and quickness of Dell. Tank Dell put an absolute show on yesterday. Made some plays with Davis Mills, made some plays with CJ Stroud, and the past couple of practices, hey man, Dell has been the best wide receiver. So should we start putting expectations on the 3rd round pick? If you ask the crowd, they were clamoring and claiming that Tank Dell was going to be number 1 wide receiver for the Houston Texans, and it's hard not to see it. His route runs are crisp. When he goes up against Derek Stingley, you see like a clash between the Titans, man. Tank Dell wins one, Derek Stingley wins one, and they continue to go at it. And just in yesterday's practice, seeing Tank Dell back-to-back 20-yard gains from Davis Mills, convert the first down, that gets you excited for what him and CJ Stroud could do. Is this your quarterback 1, wide receiver 1 combo for the next 10 years? Are we going to see it sooner rather than later? Shout out to Tank Dell for having a damn good practice yesterday. And it wasn't just him having a good practice. Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, they all have been making some plays. And it's like we weren't expecting this wide receiving core to be as productive as they've been so far in training camp, right? We were expecting guys like Robert Woods, Noah Brown. I mean, Nico Collins continues to make plays every single practice, but that was the group of names that we were expecting to be leading this quote-unquote wide receiver race. But the fact that almost every single practice, it's Tank Dell, it's Hutchinson, it's John Mechie making some plays, it gets me excited for this wide receiving core, man. Now let's see how the defense did in last night's practice, because they had some plays as well. And before, I get into the quote, man, these guys were going at it. The offense would win some plays. The defense would win some plays. You've seen the Houston Texans throw out that phrase, iron sharpens iron. Well, I saw it yesterday. You saw CJ Stroud trash talking. You saw Derek Stingley go one-on-one with Tank Dell and Robert Woods, and one guy would run a rep, the other guy would run a rep. This Houston Texans team is ready, ladies and gentlemen, and kudos to head coach DeMeco Ryans for getting these guys right. It wasn't all the offense on Saturday night. The defense had some wins. Will Anderson earned a sack in one of the team periods. Jacob Martin blew up some plays from the backside. Malik Collins had one of the best combo plays in all of training camp. Collins flew in for a sack. The offense attempted a screen to get some yards back, but Collins was there again for a big loss, leading to the offense needing 25 yards for a first down. On that Will Anderson Jr. sack, DeMeco Ryans threw out 3 edge rushers. He threw out Jerry Hughes, Will Anderson Jr., and Jonathan Gennard. And it was Will Anderson Jr. matched up against Shaq Mason, and he beat him like a drum. As soon as the ball was snapped, Will Anderson Jr. was in the backfield, and it would have been a would-be sack. Those 2 plays by Malik Collins were coming towards the end of practice, so guys were getting tired. So to see that this defense continue to go at this offense, it made both of these guys better. And they were going at it, like I mentioned. They were chirping. Jalen Petrie said that CJ Stroud is one of the best trash talkers on the team. And it feels good to see a competitive football team again. We look miles ahead of what we were come last year when it was Lovie Smith. This Houston Texans team is going to surprise some people, ladies and gentlemen. For more Houston Texans content, feel free to follow me for more. Go Houston Texans. You guys have a very blessed day.